Hi, my name is Meredith Walker, and today I'm going to show you how to create a wrapped canvas frame in Adobe Photoshop CS6 with a solid color wrap. Now, I'm not going to show you how to actually print the canvas, cut it out, and staple it to the frame. Rather, I'm going to show you how to edit your photo in Photoshop, create the border that goes around it, and prepare it to be printed. Now, when we talk about a solid color wrap, we're talking about the solid color that you will see on the border of your frame. You can also do an image wrap, such as a mirror image of a portion of your photo on the front of the frame, where it mirrors and wraps around to the back side of the frame. We will focus on that in a later video, but for today, we're going to focus on creating the solid color wrap. Now, the solid color wrap can be white, it can be black, like our example, and you can also sample colors from the photograph that you have on the front of the frame and use that color as the wrap. This is my wooden frame. It is an 8x10 frame, and the edge is 2.5 inches tall. This is important to know when we are setting up our frame. It's actually 2 inches on the side, and then we need another 1/2 inch to wrap around to the back for stapling. We have to allow for this when we're setting up the wrap itself. If you do not allow for it, your border will be too small and you will not be able to get a good stretch on the canvas and secure it with staples to the back of the frame. So the photograph that I want to use for the front of my frame is my red sunflower that I took a photo of it from our garden last summer. And the first thing that I need to do is get my crop tool. My crop tool is my 4th tool down on the tools panel, and I need to crop the photo to a proportional size so that it will fit on the front of the canvas and not look distorted. In order to do that, I'm going to choose on my options bar to set my crop dimensions as a 10x8, so it will be 10 inches wide and 8 inches tall. I can also click inside of my crop and I can move it just a little bit to optimize. I can also move this in. I don't want to move it in too far. I actually like it right there. And so what you see inside of this outer border is going to be what will be pictured on the front of my canvas. I really like that, so I'm going to click on the check mark so that I can commit to that crop. Okay, so now I am ready to check my image size. So I'm going to go up to Image on the menu bar and I'm going to choose Image Size. And you can see that my image size is not correct. Now I cropped it so that the photo would be proportional to an 8x10. Now I have to set up the actual size of the image to be an 8x10. So I'm going to uncheck Constrain Proportions because I know that my crop is going to allow my photo to be proportional. It was already unchecked, so I just left it unchecked, but if yours is checked, make sure you uncheck it. In the width section, I'm going to type in 10. In the height section, 8. And I also want to change the resolution of my photo from 72 to 300. This will give a higher dots per inch, and instead of having 72 dots per inch to make up the photograph, I now have 300. So when I print the canvas, it will be a much crisper, clearer image. So once I have that, I'm going to click OK. And that automatically zooms in on my photograph, so I need to zoom out a little ways so that I can see the whole photograph and be able to work with the next step that I'm going to be taking in the process. So the next step in the process is to set up the canvas size. And what a canvas size does in Photoshop is that it extends the actual size of the image to allow for that wrap area. So to set up the canvas size, what you would do is go back to Image on your menu bar, and right below Image Size is Canvas Size. Now, as I said earlier, we have to add 2.5 inches to each side of the frame, each of the 4 sides, to allow for enough to wrap around to form the side of the photograph wrap and to also stretch to the back and secure with staples. So 2.5 inches on each of the 4 sides means that we have to add 5 inches total to the width and 5 inches total to the height. So 5 and 10 are 15, and 8 and 5 are 13. So even though our photograph is going to be 8 by 10, our canvas size is going to be 15 by 13. I click OK, and voila, you have a background wrap. Now, you can change this color to match one of the colors in the photograph, and that is actually what I'm going to do. I want to sample some of this red, but first I want to zoom out just a little bit further because I want you to be able to see everything around the edge. Now, the black looks really great. That would be an option, but I am really wanting that beautiful shade of red right there. So what I need to do in order to sample the color from my sunflower is get my eyedropper tool. My eyedropper tool is the 6th tool down on my tool panel, and I want that right there. Very pretty. Now when I click on take the sample, you'll see that my active color up here in the top changes to that red. So now I need to get my bucket tool, which is the 12th tool down. It's right in the middle of the toolbar. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click in this black area. And that is really too bright. So if you do not like it, you can always do a Control-Z and back out of it and choose another color if you should so desire. Okay, so I think instead of red, I want to choose this pretty shade of green right here in the actual leaf of the sunflower. So I've already gotten my eyedropper tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and choose that shade of green. And then I'm going to get my paint bucket tool. I'm going to click on the black background. Now, this actually enhances the photograph a little better, but we have a problem down here, and that is it turned a portion of my photograph green. If we do Control-Z and back out, you will see every area that turned green when I clicked on the background. So what we will need to do before we actually turn our background in different colors, we need to select the area that we want to change the color. So to select the area, we want to change the background color. We do not want to change that foreground photograph. We are going to get the rectangular marquee tool. It is the 2nd tool from the top on your tools panel, and if you click and hold on that little button with the arrow, you're going to get a fly out selection box, and we're going to choose rectangular marquee. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select my photograph. Looks like it's a little off. There we go. Make a small adjustment with the arrow keys, and it looks perfect. Now what I'm going to do is get my move tool, and I'm going to go up to select on the menu bar and choose inverse. Now what that's going to do is instead of selecting the photograph, it's going to select everything out but the photograph. So now I'm going to get my bucket tool, and I'm going to click in the black, and let's see what happens. Perfection. That is exactly what we wanted to happen. The border itself is green, but the photograph is not. No part of that photograph changed like it did earlier, so this is very important. We're going to go back up to select and choose deselect, and that way it deselects everything and we have our beautiful canvas. So let's take a look. Image, an image size is 15 by 13, 300 resolution. It is absolutely perfect. This, as long as it is saved as a JPEG file, not as a native Photoshop file. It does have to be a JPEG file in order to print on the printer that I use, and it may have to be a JPEG file for other large format printers to recognize. So to save it as a JPEG file makes it very portable. Just click on Save As, and we are going to change our format to JPEG and click Save. Always choose 12 as your quality. Click OK. And now it is ready to add to your flash drive and take somewhere or send off for printing. That is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed learning how to wrap a canvas frame and setting up a canvas wrap in Photoshop CS6. Have a good night.